Afternoon to you, wherever you may be across the world. Omar here on You ORNS Watford FC post-match. The final score from the Hawthorns this afternoon was West Bromwich Albion 2, Watford 1. This was a game that Watford dominated the first half of, and in the second half, really, just did not play as well as they did in the first. It's been the same old song all season long for this Watford team that we love, this men's first team, who are just tremendously inconsistent. And we've seen this every game that this lot play, week after week and result after result. Welcome aboard, everybody, on YouTube and on X. If you're watching and listening there, thank you so very much. Your comments are always welcome as we get ready for this post-match here as Watford FC fall to defeat at the Hawthorns. A tough game for Watford, and really tough because of their own undoing in that first half. That first half goal was the real key to this one. West Bromwich Albion getting the goal after 11 minutes through Grant, and then Johnston scoring in the second half for them to put them 2-0 up on the 60th minute. And then Watford respond with the captain, Musa Sissoko, getting the Watford goal on 76 minutes. Had opportunities, did Watford, after that to equalize. They came oh so close at the very last seconds of this game in the dying minutes of injury time, the 6th minute of the injury time. Watford really should have scored. A great save from the goalkeeper Griffiths to give Watford, to deny Watford what would have been a sensational equalizer. Watford today, to me, are guilty of bad quality end product. I think that's where the problem is for Watford. It has been that way all season. Our end product, excuse me, when it really counts, pardon me, has betrayed us all season long. And that's what really happened today. I think what also happened for us today is that we thought too much. We were thinking too much out there. And there is such a thing in sports as thinking too much. And I think we did that today. When we got into the final third, we wanted to make every pass perfect. And you can't make every pass perfect in these games. You just have to go for it, hell bent for leather. And you have to take some shots at it. And Musa Sissoko did that in the 76th minute. He didn't think about anything. He just took the shot, blasted it home. Great strike. That's what Watford have to be much more precise at. Just take the shot. When the shot's on in the box, take it. Take it, take it, take it. Do not hesitate. And Musa Sissoko went to that school today, and he made a nice goal out of it. He's now scored 2 from 2. Musa Sissoko, my goodness me. Here's a new lease on life. But there were some other Watford players today I thought who were very good. I thought Caleb Wiley was very good today. I thought that Luza was very good today. And I thought that Selvik, the goalkeeper, very good today. And you also had Matty Pollock and James Abankwah. All very serviceable, and all very good. You look at the Watford possession today, 61% of the possession for us, 15 total shots for us, 3 of those on target. West Brom had 10 shots and only, 5 on target or 3 on target there. Bottom line is we played well enough, but we played well enough to lose, and we lost. That is the story here. Your comments are always welcome on X and on YouTube. Hit the request button on X to let us know what you thought of this one today. One thing I've been already asking on X, for those of you there at YOU ORNS WFC, you will look on my timeline. I have put forth a question, a poll question, which is, who do you want as your Watford #1 next season? I gave you 3 choices: Daniel Bachmann, Egil Selvik, or another goalkeeper. Please head to that poll now if you are on X and give your answer. Or if you'd like to just talk about those 3 choices and give me your verbal answer here on X, you're more than welcome to do so. Hit the request button and I will patch you in. Of course, I'll also do this on YouTube as well. Read your comments out. Let me know on YouTube, who do you want as your #1 goalkeeper, your Watford #1 next season in the men's first team? Is it Daniel Bachmann? Is it Egil Selvik? Or is it another goalkeeper? Let me know on YouTube as well. As for, speaking of YouTube, Brown Electron says, evening, Omar. We had some decent spells today, he says, though Pollock was very poor today and Abankwah wasn't much better. Okay, well, Brown obviously disagrees with me on Abankwah. I thought Abankwah had a pretty darn good game. But there we go. We can disagree on that. And that's the view of Brown today. He says Pollock and Abankwah were not up to it today, not very good. He has Pollock as being very poor. Okay, there, Brown. Thanks for the comments as always, there, Brown. I really appreciate them as ever. Now, look, the other things that we can talk about today. Look, the Watford youth team fell to Manchester City in the Youth Cup semi-final at the Vic this past Thursday night by a score of 1-0. We can talk about the exit of Jonathan Bondy, who, of course, started his career with us at Watford, is now going off here to the United States. He's heading to Houston, Texas, to play with the Houston Dynamo. He has been released and he is gone. Adios. Now, it's interesting about Jonathan Bond, by the way, because you remember Jonathan Bond was playing at the LA Galaxy earlier this season, I believe, or like last season, before he came back to Watford in the off season. And now he's heading back out here to the States again to go back to the MLS again. And now this time with the Houston Dynamo. So really, it was a pit stop for Jonathan Bond. He only played 13 games for us on his return leg at Watford. I felt that he should have played a lot more than the 13 games. Remember, Tom Cleverley was not in the mood to play Jonathan Bond, even though he said that he made it very clear, if Daniel Batman's fit, he's playing. And, a lot of us disagreed with that choice. And I was one of them. And as a result, now Daniel Batman, coming back from injury, is available to play. And he's not playing. Isn't that ironic? It's kind of like the Alanis Morissette song, right? Isn't it ironic? Daniel Batman was healthy and fit. And we didn't think he was very good this season. A lot of us haven't thought he's been any good at all since he's come to Watford. And Jonathan Bond, who was playing much better than Daniel Batman in goal, was sitting on the bench. And now Daniel Batman's available, but Agil Selvik is playing like a house on fire. He's been very good, by the way, in the goal. And no, there's no such declaration of playing Batman now, is there? I mean, Watford are gone from the playoffs. You can forget them; they were never in it. And now you got a healthy Batman, and who's playing in goal? Selvik, and Bond's out the window, out the window. He's here in the States. Probably his flight touched down a couple of days ago now, an hour ago, whatever it was. But the bottom line is, Watford fans, that's what your goalkeeping carousel is. What's going to happen next season with the goalkeeper? Are we going to have in goal Agil Selvik next season? I would love to see it, wouldn't you? Or is the manager, whoever that might be, because it's not nailed on that it's going to be Klebs. I pray to goodness it is. I pray to God that it is Klebs. But if it's not Klebs, who's the goalkeeper going to be next season to start for us? Because I think it should be Selvik. Made some outstanding saves today. The man is very good with the ball to his feet. He's good kicking, good distribution. He's got good ability to get the ball out of tight areas. I mean, he does not make you feel nervous when he's got the ball at his feet, unlike Bachman, who does not play the ball out well, does not kick well, does not distribute well. Is a good shot stopper, but he has not got the good situational awareness that a goalkeeper is supposed to have. Not nearly as good as Selvik. Selvik made some brilliant saves today to keep this at a 2-1 game. So Watford, for the second consecutive Saturday, fall to defeat by a score of 2-1. In both of those games, Watford were down 2-0, and they got a late goal to make things interesting. And I thought Watford, out of the two games last week, the 2-1 defeat at Bristol City, and this game today at the Hawthorns, I think Watford had a very good chance to get something out of this game. In fact, win the game. But the bottom line is, we did not have that end product that you have to get these games in these situations. West Bromwich Albion fighting ahead for the playoffs didn't do themselves any harm today with this win. Watford, for those of you who still somehow thought that Watford had a chance at these playoffs, they are out. They are done. As far as I'm concerned, the results today have been very interesting as far as the rest of the championship is concerned. Millwall don't hurt themselves. A 1-0 win over Middlesbrough. You've got a game between Bristol City and QPR that ended 1-1. You have some very interesting results. Sunderland lose at home to Swansea. You've got Sheffield Wednesday losing at home to Oxford. And, of course, that lot up the road, losing at home to Blackburn Rovers, which means, of course, that that lot up the road are going to be going down. It's only a matter of time now. Leeds at the top on 88. Burnley in second on 88 as well, on goal difference behind. Sheffield United have been awful lately. I think they lost 3 in a row. They're on 83 points. And at the bottom of that 10, you've got Blackburn in 10th, Watford in 11th. That's where Watford are. Remember, I'll say this all day long, dear listener, dear viewer. I said before, way back in July of 2024, I said Watford were going to finish 8th. They are 11th at the moment with what, 3 games left to play in this football season. And in the bottom of the table, Cardiff on 22nd place on 42, Luton in 23rd. Oh, I mentioned their names. They are on 40. Plymouth Argyle also on 40 as well. So there we go with that. One last thing I want to say as far as Watford are concerned here. I said this before. We have to start thinking about what next season's looking like for us. Because again, as far as this season's going, you got to chuck it in the bin now. This season is over for Watford. There's 4 games left or 3 games left or whatever the heck it is now. We've got Burnley as the next game we play. That's on Good Friday. That would be coming up this coming weekend. After this weekend, that would be next Friday. That's Good Friday. And then you got whoever it is after that. Maybe it's Sheffield Wednesday or somebody. I think we play to end the season, something like that. But we are, whoever we're playing next, doesn't matter. The playoffs are over for anyone who still thinks that there's somehow some chance. The thing I want to say about Watford, though, is that we gave it a really good try against a team that's really pushing above us in the table. We beat West Brom by the same scoreline back in November, I think it was, or October at the Vic. But as far as the return was concerned to the Hawthorns, well, we actually had some good results over the last few years. It was not to be the case today. I thought Rocco Vata brought you a little something. Not as strong in this particular game, but I didn't think he was a disaster. He had a really good shot that was blocked after it was 2-1. He had a shot that was going in. It was going in, folks. It was absolutely going in. The West Brom defender took one for the team as he put his head in the way, and the ball struck his head. It could have been an 85, 90-mile-an-hour shot. And then the West Brom defender went down to the ground. He took one for the team there because that was going in. That would have been 2-2. But Vata did well, I thought, decently, I'd say. And as I said before, at Banqua, very good. I thought Ngakia showed you something again today. I didn't mind the subs. Could Cleves have brought the subs on a little bit earlier? Yeah, he probably could. And now Philip Crouch on YouTube says Ince and Kayembe were dreadful. Philip, thank you for your comment on YouTube. It's so interesting. I see it very differently on both the comments that have come in on YouTube so far. Keep the comments coming. I don't think Ince was bad. He didn't have, put it this way, one thing I will say about what Philip has said there, Philip, and thanks for your comment once again. Look, the bottom line is I thought Ince was good in the game. He didn't have an impact on the game, but I think that Ince kept things moving. The ball did not stick with Ince. Ince didn't bog up the place, right? Sometimes you get players come on, and he started the game today, and the passage of play bogs down when they come on the pitch. But for me today, Ince moved the ball well. The passages of play with Ince were not bad at all. I don't think that Ince was a problem today. He may not have been outstanding to the Watford eye, to the Watford faithful's eye per se, but I don't think he was a liability. I thought he moved the ball well. He didn't impact the game, perhaps. I think in that way, maybe that's what you're referring to, Philip, that other players did. But I thought he was a steady Eddie out there. I thought he was a steady Eddie. His passing was good for me. I thought the passing was good from him. But the bottom line is I thought that you had some players. I thought, again, and I disagree with what has been said about Kayembe. I thought Kayembe was good today for once. He was having a go. His passing was brilliant today. So we disagree there, Philip, but that's all right. Nobody's wrong with their opinion. You're not wrong, and I'm not wrong. It's the way we view the game. We viewed it differently. None of us are incorrect about what we had to say. Kayembe's passing was absolutely brilliant today, though. Oh, and he had that shot. Loser passed the ball to him, and that was in the first half, I think it was. And yes, first half. And Kayembe just blasted the ball, just took it really sweet, and it hit the post. I mean, look, Kayembe does not play like that every game. In fact, most games this season, he doesn't. It's a wonder he's got, 8 goals this season, Kayembe. It's amazing that he has. Because he's very, very inconsistent and often forgettable to watch. But today, I thought he was very good indeed today, Kayembe. Too bad he couldn't get on the score sheet. Brown Electron says, Wiley and Selvik, my men of the match. Yeah, that's a great call, Brown. That's the first comment that I do agree with coming in on YouTube. Brown Electrons has it. Wiley and Selvik, my man of the match. Yeah, I agree. Wiley was terrific again. I know there was a moment in the second half where he momentarily gave up the ball and allowed the West Brom attacker to cut inside and take the shot. But Jeremy Ngakia made a brilliant defensive play. Ngakia was terrific today, as I said earlier. But Wiley was excellent. Wiley, again, that's 2 great games in a row from him. Remember, he had the assist for the Sissoko goal on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever the heck it was. What day of the week is it anyway? I don't know anymore. But the bottom line is that Wiley was terrific on Tuesday of this week, and he was terrific again today. And Selvik, again, as Brown Electrons quite rightly mentions on YouTube, I thought he was absolutely brilliant in goal. I'm not exaggerating that. Selvik gives you know what Selvik gives us? And I'm going to say it like this, fellow Watford supporters. Selvik gives us credibility in goal. Selvik has credibility in goal. Absolute credibility. You don't worry about him. You really don't. And if any mistakes are made, it's usually by the defense. A la the first goal of the game that was poorly defended. In fact, both goals were poorly defended. But Selvik gives us credibility in goal. That's why I put that poll out there earlier on X at YOU ORNS WFC, where I asked you, who do you want as your number 1 at Watford next season? Would it be Daniel Bachmann, Agil Selvik, or another goalkeeper? And by the way, so far, can I just read out to you where the Watford fan base is on this? You really want to know where they are? I will read it out to you. So far, and listen, this is not purely unscientific. 95 votes have come in as of this minute. Agil Selvik has 99% of them votes. Daniel Bachmann has 0%. And another keeper has 1%. So another keeper has more votes, 1 vote, than Daniel Bachmann does. I hope that the owner and the manager, and I hope that he's here next season, take note of that poll and take note of any other polls that Watford fans put out, because that's pretty telling. I think that the manager can see that Agil Selvik is by far a better goalkeeper, but the manager, that would be our beloved Clevs, has played with Daniel Bachmann, and there's going to be loyalty to that contract of what, 5, 6 years, 8 years, 10 years? Or what did the Watford front office give him? 1 million years, Daniel Bachmann? Listen, I actually like Daniel Bachmann a lot. I really do. I think he's a really good person. Very important to be a decent human being in life, I think, But when it comes to the game of football, his goalkeeping still needs to improve. He's made some sensational saves. He's really pulled us out the fire. In some of these seasons, he's actually given us about 10 points extra with his brilliance in terms of some of the great shot stopping he does. But I really would love for him to really develop some of the other fundamentals of goalkeeping. Listen to me. I've never been a goalkeeper in my life. I played football many a time, mostly in defense. But I actually it was in goal for one game years and decades ago. But Daniel Bachmann, if he can develop his goalkeeping beyond the shot stopping, I think he could be very good. But he's been at Watford now for what, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, whatever years. And he's not shown the aptitude for that. He's not shown it. And Selvik comes in here. Selvik's been in what, 3 months? And he's been a house on fire. He's been very good. I'm very confident with him. I don't get worried about him. I don't get nervous about Selvik. I don't get nervous about him at all. Let me read out the rest of your YouTube comments before saying goodbye to those of you on X, and we'll go to Instagram world after I say goodbye to those of you on X. Hey Omar says, Matt, thank you, Matt, for your comment. Hey Omar, player for me that played well or looked like they wanted to be on the pitch and wear the shirt was loser. He tried to command the midfield and played the ball in areas when he could. Matt, Thank you so much for that comment. I was talking before you made that comment about Loser and several other players, but Loser was one of them who I thought was very good today, put in a very good shift. Loser, Abankwa, Wiley, Kayembe, Sissoko, who I'll get to in a minute with some comments on him from some of you watching and listening. And also, I also thought that Ngake was terrific. I thought he was very good today as well. I've probably forgotten or left out one or two. Those of you who want to comment on that, who is your man or men of the match for Watford? Even in defeat, you can still have a performer of the day, a man of the match, even though we didn't win. And there's several today you can pick from. Selvik was terrific in goal, as I've said, and others of you have said. And also, one of the things we're talking about here on YouTube, because we're going to leave those of you on X in about 50 seconds, is the bottom line about next season. Who do you want in goal for Watford next season? And so, Matt, thank you for your comment. Brown Electron says another Sissoko goal he's firing at the moment. He certainly is, Brown. That's 2 from 2 from Mr. Sissoko, who, on Tuesday night, he got the winning goal, and then today he got a consolation goal. Such is the game of football, but both of those goals were well taken, well engineered, and good finishes on both. He's the best finisher Watford has right now. Who knew? The lad's in his mid to late 30s, and I'm nothing against people who are older, because I'm older, so I mean, but I got nothing in general against people who are older at all. But the fountain of youth has been rediscovered by Mr. Sissoko, who scored a fantastic goal today. He didn't have to think about it. And I wish that Watford had taken on what Sissoko did, because taking that on board, because Sissoko didn't think. You could see, he knew what he was going to do. He made up his mind and he just went for it. And I think Watford, we can be guilty, the men's first team, our lads can be guilty of not going for it, in terms of just not, we're guilty of thinking too much about the next pass. And in these games away from home, you just have to be going for it. Go for it. Don't think about it too much. Just go for it. Go for it. Go for it. And Sissoko did that in fine fashion. Those of you on X, thank you very much indeed for your time. We're going to move on to Instagram and continue with the YouTubers. Thank you very much for your time. The final score at the Hawthorns was West Bromwich Albion 2, Watford 1. I'm Omar, and until next time, you ORNS. Take care, those of you on X, and I'll see you next time. That is it for those of you who were on X, of course. Now it is time to return to YouTube and then head on to Instagram world. And we'll continue on here and read out your comments on YouTube. Thank you so very much indeed for joining me here on this edition of You ORNS WFC post-match. For the Watford supporters, always a pleasure to have you in the building. My name is Omar here in sunny San Francisco, California, it should be said. I know that the weather is going to be turning soon in the United Kingdom. Let's hope that it's not too cold or too wet as far as your weather is concerned over these next few days. Now, I want to just read out some more comments on YouTube. It's great to have you aboard on YouTube, and of course, now on Instagram. Thank you very much, Instagrammers. Hello to you. And you are now live with me here on You ORNS Extra on Instagram Live. My name is Omar. A pleasure to see you here on You ORNS WFC on Instagram as well. Bring your comments. I'll be reading your comments on both Instagram and on YouTube after Watford fall to defeat at the Hawthorns today by a score of 2-1. Gary Costa, welcome to you on Instagram. Nice to see you there, Gary. Hope you're doing well. Sorry about the result today. I mean, I shouldn't be apologizing, but it's a shame about the result today. I really thought that we would have given this a really good go, and we did in the first half. In the second half, it was not quite as good. But listen, take note that we at least put in the performance that we can be proud of, and there were a lot of good moments from a lot of players today that I certainly will talk about despite the defeat. We kept ourselves viable in the game despite not playing quite as well in the second half as we did in the first. But when that Sissoko goal came in, we definitely were still on it. Holly Louise, hello to you, Holly. Nice to see you again. Hope you are well. On Instagram there, thank you so much. And then on YouTube, read out your comments on YouTube. Hello, mate. How are you, Holly? I'm fine, Holly. How are you? It's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Nice to see you. Too bad about the result, though, isn't it? We did not do ourselves proud at the end, but we definitely gave a fight of it. Yeah, Luton got battered, says Holly. She said, listen, Holly, I'm so pleased. That's what's made my afternoon and my morning here is that lot are definitely going to be heading down. And I'm just so thankful that they did lose the game at home to Blackburn Rovers. And I said Blackburn Rovers are awful, by the way, even though they're ahead of us at the table. Blackburn Rovers in a big spot can't do a darn thing. But they did beat that scum up the road, so we can definitely celebrate that today. Hello to Will Nash, WFC on Instagram. Now, I'm going to read out some comments on YouTube and on Instagram as well. Holly Lee's on Instagram says, no, Backman made my days better. And by the way, Holly, I've been asking everybody, and those of you on YouTube, Instagram as well, who do you want as your #1 goalkeeper next season? Do you want Egil Selvik, Daniel Backman, or another goalkeeper altogether? Think about that one. I'll read out your comments, and I'm reading your YouTube comments as well. On YouTube, we're going to go back now to Brown Electrons. I like Backman as a #2, says Brown Electrons on YouTube. But if his wages are too high, get rid. Listen, Brown, listen, I hear you 100%. I don't know what his wage bill is, what his wage structure is. I know he's on a 4 or 5 year deal here. I hope that Watford restructure that deal so that his wages are different from what they may be. I would tell you, though, I'll tell you something for nothing, though, Brown. Personally, I like Backman. I like him. I like him as a person. I don't like him even as a #2 for us. Sorry. And those who do like Backman, nothing against you. And if Daniel Backman happens to ever, which he probably wouldn't do, stumble onto this video, I do like Backman a great deal, personally. I think he's a really good person. I really do. He's a really decent person. But, when it comes to football, decency does not pay the rent or the mortgage. And I don't rate him, quite frankly, Brown, as even a #2. To be fair, I think he'd prosper better someplace else, perhaps. I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to be nasty or mean or anything, and I don't want anyone else to be nasty or mean either. I just don't think that Backman really has a role in the Watford first team at all. Now, you can disagree with that, folks. You're free to do that. But there I go. But there you go, Brown. Thank you for the comment. And you did emphasize if his wages are too high, get rid of him. So it's not like you're completely on board with him either. No one is. Again, thank you, Joe Larkin, for coming in on YouTube. Let's do something here. I'm going to play you something right now, live from Tom Cleverley. This is live.
To be honest, so the winning team is the winning team today. So we have to address why we continue to play some really nice football and don't come away with any points. That's been a real disappointment of the last 10 games for us, where I feel our performance levels and you can really see my style of play, my style of team, and it's just not equal in points. So that's something we'll look at. They were super clinical in their moments they had going forward today. Much more than us, and we're expecting big things from a really young forward unit at times with Mamadou and Rocco, just teenagers, and they have the quality, but a little bit more streetwise. They were a little bit more streetwise than us, and really took their chances well.
You said before the game that you think West Brom obviously have more experience. You're hoping your side come out and show that they can, get the win. Do you think that that's what was missing in your team, the experience?
Certainly at this level. We've obviously got Musa scores our goals. He's really experienced, and that's why I went for Incy today, just to sort of match that up. I think we're guilty of trying to play perfect football a bit too much. I thought they used the channel ball and the ball in behind at the right time really well, and then when they got in behind us, they made their moments really count.
Obviously, you went 2 goals down, but obviously you got the goal as well. Do you like the way your team reacted to going down?
I love my team's attitude. They never give up. they've rolled their sleeves up all season long. And like I said, the reason why we lost today was maybe lacking a little bit of streetwise. You know, when they roll out of a challenge, can we make tactical fouls? Can we turn them a little bit more? And it doesn't have to be perfect football going through the lines all the time. I want my team to look good, but also be effective, and we're just the other side of the balance at the minute.
Games still coming thick and fast, and every game seems to be important. What's the main message to the team now?
Yeah, you're judged every time you step over that white line in training and in games. So you never know who's watching. Do it for yourself, but you never know who's watching. And yeah, we've levelled last year's points tally. Can we significantly beat that and show real progression this season?
Cheers, Tom. Cheers.
That's live. That was live, or at least it was live on the feed that I'm looking at here. Tom Cleverley live there. And bottom line is that, look, he said something that I just said about a few minutes ago. They were trying to think too much. They were guilty of trying to play perfect football. Absolutely. Musa Sissoko just didn't think about it. He just went for it. And that's what we lack. The cutting edge. But thank you, Tom Cleverley. I hope you're able to hear that, those of you are listening on, watching and listening on Instagram and YouTube. I hope you were able to hear some of that I played there live coming in, or at least it was put forth from the live feed here. That might have been recorded, but it's live here on the feed that I've just been looking at. So anyway, bottom line is that the goalkeeping thing, let me get back to that. I'll read out all your comments. The goalkeeping situation, to me, I mean, it's pretty clear that Selvik is the better goalkeeper. Jonathan Bond has gone to Houston. Here, he's come here to the United States. He's gone off to Houston, Texas, to the Houston Dynamo, MLS. That's where the rest of his career probably is going to be, in the MLS, which happens with most footballers these days now. Or they go to Saudi Arabia or wherever, right? That's where everybody goes now. It's one of them two places, either America or Saudi Arabia for the football. Once they've done their tour of duty in the English football game, or even in the La Liga game, that's the way that goes. But anyway, Selvik has definitely got to be the one. On the poll I read out earlier that I did on X at YOU ORNS WFC, 99% of the vote went to Selvik. I had three choices: another goalkeeper, Backman, or Selvik. Selvik got 99%, and another keeper got 1%. Backman did not get any percentage at all. None. Holly says Selvik, that's her choice for next season, or De Gea. Get him in, says Holly. Joe Larkin, embarrassing that Sissoko's the only one who can score. Yeah, that's pretty poor, isn't it? It says it is kind of embarrassing. I'm happy for Sissoko, whose season has been the first half of his season was not great. Second half of the season, he's been a lot better these last 10 or 15 games. Since I think he was suspended at one point. He had a retroactive suspension this season. That was from way back when he had committed a red card offense against Sheffield United, but apparently nobody was looking at it. And then weeks later, they retroactively banned him. And since that ban has been over, Sissoko's actually been a lot better a footballer. He's been very, very good the last two games. He scored 2 in 2. He's the only one who can score, as Joe said. Cleverly says all the right things, but nothing's changed in the last 2 months, says Joe Larkin. So obviously Joe and everyone else could hear what I played there live. He does say all the right things, Joe, except for one thing that he didn't. Well, months and months ago now, he said something that I totally disagree with and don't believe he's going to actually do. Bring back the likes of Rajovic. I don't think Rajovic is going to see another stitch of championship football for Watford. Now, that's my view. He may well come back here, obviously, but he may train here in the summer. But I think when the season starts, he will not figure in to the plans of the manager. Doumbia is going to figure into the plans of the manager. And I do pray to God that it is Tom Cleverley. I did predict before the season began that Clebs would get through an entire season without being sacked. He has done that. He will do that. It got a little dicey there in January and February when the owner started to play games. But Clevs is going to make it through. And we have to make sure that Clevs stays on. Because when we are off on our summer holiday, when we're doing our little Cliff Richard, we're all going on a summer holiday. And then you turn around and then the owner plucks. This is when it always happens, right? If it's not the international breaks, it's the summer when they change the manager. The owner might turn around on you while your back's turned and bring in some other manager in here. And that will not go down well with the Watford fan base. And I think the owner knows this. So whatever you have to do to extend the contract to Cleverly, whatever it is, if it's 18 months, whatever, make it 2 more years, make it 3 more years. This man has got the heartbeat of this team. He understands the football here. He understands the fans. He understands the environment at Watford. He's a really good servant to this club. And it would be absolute blasphemy if this owner were to get rid of Clevs during the off season. I'm a little nervous about that, by the way. A little nervous, fellow Watford supporters. Can you just see this owner turning around and jettisoning Tom Cleverly while we've got our backs turned, while we're on our Butlins trip? We're on our Butlins tour. You know that he could do that. He did. He's done it before. Leave Tom Cleverly alone, Gino, please. Could you do that? Thank you. I'll read out the rest of your comments. Well, maybe get more players in, says Holly as well. Klebs is right. We need to change it if we want to fight. Absolutely agree there, Holly. Holly has another comment. Apparently, he ain't coming back. Are you talking about Klebs? I hope you're wrong about that. Pozzo, mate. Yeah, exactly. Get out, you're an arb. Yeah, I agree. We've had enough of it. Listen, this owner, the first 5 or 6 years, he walked on water around here. And he walked on water for a reason. He did do some very good things at this club. Got the other stand built. We got that stuff done. We got it sorted. He did a lot of nice things. But I'm sorry, these last 4 or 5 years or whatever it is now, it's been an absolute mess. It's been a mess. Bond's out. Jonathan Bond's gone. Like why? I mean, Selvic's good. I love Selvik. But what the guy that should be gone is Backman. The guy that should be gone from here is Backman, not Bondy. I'm sorry to shout. I really am sorry to shout. But that's what ticks me off about the owner and all the shenanigans that he pulls. What is he doing? And what's going on with all this stuff with Bio? You're bringing him back. You're not bringing him back. Oh, Gianluca Nani has to rubbish the rumor that they're bringing him back. I mean, if he's gone, he's gone. Let him go. I don't want to. I mean, listen, our man Andrew French at the Watford Observer has done a great job. He had the story a couple of weeks ago now, and he said that there's rumors that Bio might be coming back. And you got Gianluca Nani, the technical director, coming out there going, "Oh no, we're not bringing him back." And if Gianluca Nani is saying that we're not bringing him back, bet the other way. Okay. Bet the other way. Bio's got to go. And I was a big fan of Bio's. But I'm sorry, he ain't done nothing. Since February, he ain't scored. Since February, he's not scored a goal. I was one of his biggest backers. When every Watford fan was telling me, Omar, forget him, he's terrible. The man scored 4 goals in one game. He scored a few goals in another game. He ain't done nothing since. I mean, even I'm souring on him now. Finally, with 3 games left, I'm finally seeing the light. The man cannot score for anything now, and Doumbia is 10 times better than them. Doumbia gives defenders a fright. I mean, they're not. Bio's got great work rate. We know he puts in a shift. Never fought him for that, but he don't scare defenders. He doesn't scare any defenders at all. Yeah, I mean, Holly's right. Absolutely. I agree with what Holly's saying there. Bio, get out of my club. Bro does F all. I agree with that. He's not doing anything. He's not doing anything now. He ain't even playing two-way football anymore. I don't see him. Now his work rate isn't as good as it used to be. Since he got suspended. Remember when he got suspended with that Norwich thing and some Watford fans don't think that he should have been suspended. He shouldn't have got a red. He should have got a red for that, and he did get a red for it. When he put his hand to the throat of that Norwich player. I mean, and since then, he has been absolutely awful. He's not scored at all. He's been awful. Let's be fair. He's been terrible. Okay? He's got to go. He wanted to go at the end of last season. Tom Cleverly was begging him to stay. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And now there's a rumor. Oh, he's come. Bio has to leave. When the season's over, I'll pay my respects. I'll be respectful because I will appreciate him for his work rate, but he's got to move on now. And watch him score at Udinese. Watch him go back there and score 10 goals in the first 5 games. You know that's going to happen, don't you? You know it's going to happen. All right, let me read out your comments on YouTube. I don't want to neglect you on YouTube. Hi, Omar. How are you? Says Ryan. Ryan, I'm very well. Thank you very much on this very sunny San Francisco Saturday. It's, boy, blue sky. Ooh, blue sky shining at me. No, it's brilliant. Blue sky is good. Now, I hope the skies are blue where you are, Ryan, and wherever you are watching from. And that goes for everyone else. It goes double for everyone else. But the bottom line is, and Holly, by the way, says, there will be no respects from me. There you go, Holly. Holly does not like Bio, and Holly is not alone there. I mean, I am not a fan. I'm not the big fan of his that I used to be. But yeah, I can understand that. That sentiment that Holly has expressed there is really duplicative and representative of, I think, a vast majority of the Watford fan base. If we're being fair, Holly on Instagram is representing a lot of, I think, the vast majority of certainly on social media. And I dare say beyond, a lot of Watford supporters do not like Bio. It doesn't matter that he's the leading goal scorer. He's got 10 goals in a phantom way. And Andy Goddard, hello to you. And Andy, let me ask you this, by the way, on Instagram. Do you think Clevs is going to be here next season? Do you think the owner is going to stab us all in the back and take Cleverly out the back door and send him on his way? What do you think about that, Andy? Because I know you're a big Tom Cleverly fan. Anyone else want to write in and weigh in on that as well? Thank you, Andy, for coming aboard on Instagram. And those of you on YouTube, let me read out the rest of your comments. Matt says, I'd take Selvik as our #1 keeper next season in a blink of an eye. I would as well. And I certainly hope that the manager and those in the front office and the owner see it the way that you and I see it, Matt. And see it the way you and I and Holly and a gazillion other Watford fans. I mean, my God. I mean, we all want Selvik as the #1. That is not hard to see. But this man is by far the best. And then listen, I don't want to make this out to be that he's the second coming of Pat Jennings or Gordon Banks. Listen, and if you're not old enough, you might not know who those two gentlemen are. But he's not the second coming of Gordon Banks, okay? But listen, Selvik is gangbusters. As far as I'm concerned, the man ain't put a foot wrong. I can't genuinely think maybe once, if at all, since he's been here, where he's put a foot wrong. He has been terrific. Bring that man back here and make sure you give him some money. Give him the 5-year deal. Give him the 5-year contract. Well, our front office does everything bass ackward. Let me put it that way, right? But how do you give Backman all this money, all these years, and Selvik's coming here, and nobody's talking about Backman anymore. Nobody. Backman's fit, and the manager ain't putting him in. Please give Selvik some money. Give him a deal. Oh my God, the man has just been terrific. My God, I mean, really, he's been the best goalkeeper we've had in there for a long time. I can't think of too many others. Ben Foster, he had his moments, but Ben Foster was a liability as well, quiet as it's kept. I mean, I think Selvik's better than Foster is. Foster made some brilliant saves in his day, but he would be susceptible to the once in a while, the clown show, and he would give up a goal or two. Give the man the money and love Tom, back him. Absolutely, Holly, on Instagram. Give him the deal, please. Holly says, give him a mansion and a dog and £5 million. Yeah, I'm all for it. Give him some pink poodles. Give him a Chihuahua. Give him a Great Dane. Give him a Black Labrador. Give him whatever you got to give him. Give the man some money. Give him a blooming mansion like Holly says. Give him the money. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Give this man the money, please. It's just incredible. This is the thing that I want to get to. I promise I'm going to read out your comments, but this has got me worked up a bit, mate. because Tom Cleverley has to be here next season, and you have to upgrade this squad. Upgrade the squad. Come on. Come on. Dumbia, you've got him here. You got it. He's here, right? Duomo, I like him. Didn't really have much to do today, right? Tom Ince, I will bring back. Now, I know a lot of people disagree with that. Tom Ince is a steady Eddie. He ain't going to score you 1,000,000 goals, but he gives you experience in areas of the pitch where I think Watford need it. And I'm down on TDB. I mean, he's here. I'm not going to get rid of TDB. TDB's got to step up. He has not been good the second half of this season. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. TDB has to improve, right? Ryan Andrews, I am not high on either. Caleb Wiley, the American, I am high on. Not because he's from the United States, because I live here in the United States as well, but because Caleb Wiley has shown you that this man is adapted to English football really well. Caleb Wiley, good man, keep him here. Ngakia, keep him here. Ngakia has been good. Keep him here. Loser, sign him onto a new deal. Keep him here. If he hasn't got a deal, sign him onto one, right? And also, Abankwah, lock Abankwah down as well. Sign him on. Whatever you've got to do, and I know the money, and I get the structures, I understand it. But these are the people you've got to lock down at this club. Sissoko's going to leave, and I would support that. He's had a good last few games, but he's got to move on. But you've got to start bringing up the youngsters, Messiah Edwards, all the rest of them. You've got to start moving things about on the chessboard here. Sissoko's here for another year, I think. I think he's got a 2-year deal. So if you're going to bring back Sissoko, you bring him back. I think the last game I actually approved of him staying on for another year, and I approve of Ince staying on. So look, the bottom line is that's what we're doing here. Now, here's what Andy says on Instagram. Andy says, you know how I feel about TC Omar. Whether I think he'll be here next year, though, anybody's guess. Selvic's had and Holly wants him to stay. Need him to stay. I agree. I think that Tom Cleverley is going to be the most important part of this offseason. If this owner gets rid of Tom Cleverley, you can kiss next season goodbye. I don't think they're going to get anywhere near playoffs next season if Tom Cleverley is not here. I made my prediction in July of last year about this season based on Tom Cleverley and based on what he did the previous games of last season. That's where I came up with 8th from. That's where I came up with the 8th. And knowing that in the summer, they didn't do a lot in the summer, as usual. But I thought that Tom Cleverley could shape this team with the little that he was given. And he's got them to 11th now. And they're going to probably fall short of 8th, but they're still going to be in that wheelhouse. If they finish in the top 10, it's still a good season for us. It's a frustrating season, but if they finish in the top 10, that's a good season for Watford. I don't care what anybody tells me, right? Selvik, says Andy, has had a cracking start to life at Watford. Let's see how he progresses, says Andy on Instagram. Easy on decency bias to call him better than Ben Foster. But let's not forget, BF was with us for multiple promotions. Haven't forgotten that, Andy. That is a good point that Andy makes. Haven't forgotten that at all. I am putting this in perspective as well, Andy, because I didn't forget those things. But what I am really going to on Ben Foster, Andy, is his technical abilities at times left a lot to be desired. He made some sensational saves for us. He was gangbusters for us in a lot of games. I've never forgotten it. And he did steer the ship for us under those promotion situations. But there were times where he made howlers happen. And Selvik, in a very small sample size, to be fair, has not done that so far. Let me read your YouTube comments. I do have, here we go here. I think this is a Ryan. Ryan says, my season ticket is £165 for next season. My goodness, it went up then, didn't it, Ryan? I think it did for you. It's going to be a rough one. I know the season ticket monies, the season tickets have been frozen for at least 3 or 4 years. They even went down, I think, in COVID or after COVID, whichever it was. So you knew that the ownership was going to raise the prices at some point. So I can't fault them for that. That's what, a 10% rise for you, Ryan? That's probably about 10 to 15% ticket rise for you. For some people, it's more than that. I can't blame the owner. This is one of the things I can't blame him for raising the prices. That's I'm sorry. I mean, look, I'm not paying for the season ticket because I don't go to the games often enough to have a season ticket. Otherwise, I would have done season tickets. You better believe it. The owner's going to raise the season ticket price. I got no complaint about that after 4 or 5 years of not doing it and a year of actually lowering the price. I can't complain there. Now, obviously, you're paying for the season ticket money. You will complain about it, and you got every right to. Ryan, thank you for your comment. Michael Keane says, I think Bachmann is overrated and makes too many mistakes. Michael, you are talking to the choir here. I agree with you. He makes too many mistakes. Listen, the ownership screwed up on this one, Michael, on YouTube. Michael Keane, you're absolutely correct. He is overrated. They spent too much money on him. At least too many years for him. Not a good investment so far. He's done some good things at times, but he is not a complete goalkeeper. He's not been a good captain when he was captain. There's no accident. He's been stripped of that. Not the captain anymore. His temperament is in question. I think he's matured a bit. But the bottom line is his goalkeeping to me has not got substantially better. It has not improved during the 5 or 6 years he's been here, whatever it is now. And so, Michael, I'm there with you. Overrated, too many mistakes. He does not assert himself between the sticks. And as a result, you got Selvik in here who does everything that Bachmann can't do or doesn't do. And Bachmann, listen, that is a wasted contract for me. He will start the cup games, and if the manager's wise, and I hope it's Klebs next season, you will start Selvik as your number one. Selvik's got to be your number one goalkeeper. Case closed. End of story. Case closed. You cannot put Bachmann back in there to start the season. And you know what will happen if he does that? Selvik will want to move unless the money's good. Here's the thing that Watford might do. If they get Selvik to stay and they give him some money for a long, because he's on loan now, I think. Not sure. If Watford bring up money for Selvik, they're going to give him money enough that will keep him here. But then I can see them still starting Bachmann ahead of him. They'll keep Selvik sweet by giving him some money, but then they'll still play the goalkeeper who isn't as good as him. That's how this stuff goes. It becomes political at times, doesn't it? In some ways, the politics is always there. When Bondi was outplaying Bachmann, Klebs was still putting Bachmann out there, even though we knew that Bond was a better goalkeeper than him. And now Bond is gone. I mean, this is the politics of it all. And they'll do the same thing with Selvik. They'll keep him sweet. They'll give him some money. And then they'll make him sit on the bench and have him as the number 2 to Bachmann's number 1. Watch. If that's what they do, I guarantee that's where it's going. You heard it here first. Bond did well enough, said Brown Electrons, to stay for another year. I think he didn't want to be third choice. Yeah, I think so, Brown. I completely agree with you. I think you're absolutely right. Jonathan Bond, at 31 years old, did not want to be playing third string to Bachmann and Selvik. And when he was signed in the summer, he probably thought he was competing for that number 1 spot. But I think he had enough when Klebs was playing him second, even though Bachmann was not as good a goalkeeper as him. I think he probably made that decision months ago that he wanted to be out and play for someone else. His agent probably said something, whispered in his agent's ear, told him to get a move. He wants a move. And then the agent said, adios. He did the rest. The agent did the rest. He or she did the rest, right? And he's gone. He's over in Texas now, playing for the Houston Dynamo. I'll probably have to look and see if there's any MLS games here with Houston in them. I'll have to watch to see how Bondi does. I don't know if he'll go straight into the team or if he'll sit there, because I can't imagine you're doing a deal for him to be at the Houston Dynamo to sit on the bench. I think he'll go straight in as their number 1 there, but I don't know. I don't follow the Houston Dynamo. I follow Watford FC. That's the club I love. That's the club I've always loved all my life. There we go. Brown, your comment is well taken. I do have some fond memories with Bachmann, Brown adds in a separate comment on YouTube. Remember when he came in, when we had to watch dreadful Ben Foster for his last couple of seasons? Yeah, Brown remembers this too. And I know, Andy, we talked about this with Andy on Instagram, but it's true. Ben Foster did not distinguish himself well them last couple of years. And even before that, when he was really good, like I keep saying, he was susceptible to some howlers here and there. Now, look, you might say that every goalkeeper is susceptible to a howler, but I've not seen one yet from Selvik. It's a small sample size, ladies and gentlemen. The bottom line is that, yeah, Bachmann did bring up the rear when Foster was awful. And Bachmann was terrific at times, but a lot of times he was like a deer in headlights for us. And I think you really need to just get a new goalkeeper in and say goodbye to Bachmann and make Selvik your number one. I mean, that's how this should go. But it's not going to go like that because the ownership ain't going to admit that they made a mistake with Bachmann for giving him 5 years or 4 years or whatever the heck it is. And the bottom line is that they're going to hold on to him. They're going to hold on to an investment that has not been wise. I wouldn't say it was a bad investment in Bachmann. I would just say that it was not a wise investment. There's a difference. Maybe you want to say those things are the same. I'm not playing semantics, but I think they made a unwise investment in Bachmann. Not a bad one, an unwise one. You can't give the man 5 years. I'm sorry. Every Watford supporter on the planet saw that he was not as good as a 5-year deal. But the ownership said, oh, we'll give him 5. Let's give him 5 years. Take 5, Danny. Take 5. And I don't think that was a wise investment. And you're seeing that's true now when you got Selvik coming here. And everybody wants Selvik. Everybody wants him. Georgie, where do you think Georgie's going to be next season? Where do you think Georgie's going to be? Do you think he's going to be here? I think he's gone in the summer. I know, look, maybe his value's gone down a bit because he didn't bring the goals with his play, but his end product isn't good. Maybe Georgie does stay. I know there's a 5-year deal for him or a 4-year deal, but deals are made to be broken. People get crazy about the years. Barr, I hope Barr stays. He's got a 4-year deal. But again, contracts are made to be broken. I always refer to the example of Abdoulaye Doucouré when he was holding up that shirt that said Doucouré 2023 on it. That was in 2018 or 19. And what happened? Less than 2 years later, in 2021, he was gone. He was gone. He was gone after the 2020 season. So all this talk about 4 years and 5 years, the only case of which that has worked out or not worked out is Bachmann. He's gonna listen. He'll do the 5-year deal. He'll see through the 5 years here at the Vic. And a lot of it's politics. Daniel Bachmann's a nice person too. He's a nice guy. He's a lovely guy. He really is. And that's why you're keeping him around for, really. But is he lovely in goal? No. No, he's not. He's not. We all know that. It's not offensive to say that. It's not offensive. I've got to read your YouTube comments and your Instagram comments. Andy, we need you for manager, says Holly. That's a shout out to Andy on Instagram, who says, if I had anything to do with whether you live in the States, Omar, I have a silent plan to switch California for Alberta when nobody's looking. Join me up here. Yeah. Oh, yes, Andy. Oh, my God. I could absolutely write a book about that. But it's a book that is fit for a different kind of conversation. I know exactly where you're going with that comment. We can make California the 14th province if we insist on that. But anyway, that's another conversation. But Andy, I might take you up on that invitation. Alberta is out there in the West. It's in the West. And between Alberta and British Columbia, yeah, absolutely. Andy, thanks for that. I know exactly where you're going with that one. And I'm going to stick to Watford football. But I know exactly where you're going there as far as that's concerned. TC is our man, says Holly. Get rid of Bio, please. Please get rid of Bio, says Holly. I give Bio 2 seconds to get out. And to be honest, played better without him against Hull. Messiah Edwards did so well up front, didn't stop running. Yeah, that's a good call against Hull. Messiah Edwards was very good. Messiah Edwards has got to get more game time now. I'm a Bachmann hater through and through, Holly says. Listen, Holly is telling you straight up on Instagram, she detests Daniel Bachmann. If Daniel Bachmann came down here now and gave Holly £1 million, Holly would still hate Daniel Backman. She'd take the money, wouldn't you, Holly? You'd take the money and you'd still hate Daniel Backman. That is how deep the hatred runs for Dan Batman's hate for the hatred there. Listen, I don't hate Dan Batman. Unlike Holly, I actually like the man. I think he's a decent fella. But his goalkeeping, I'm sorry, is indecent. His goalkeeping is awful. Let's be fair. He's a great shot stopper, but after that, he doesn't do it for me. He does not get it done. But there are a lot of Watford fans who have very passionate opinions about Daniel Batman, and they are not as nice as I am as far as Daniel Batman is concerned. Not nice. I would not want any Watford fan to be abusive against Daniel Backman at all, but I know that there are some who are, and I know that perhaps I don't know. I don't want to start naming names about anybody. I just don't. But for me, Daniel Backman, I really want to see him happy, but I would like to see him happy at another club because I think he could actually prosper somewhere else better than here. And I think that a goalkeeping coach needs to work with him. I know we have a goalkeeping coach, and we know we work with him, but it's not paid off the way it should. And by now, you're a veteran goalkeeper now, and you really should be pulling up trees of us at that point. But he just isn't. He just isn't, is he? And Selvik coming here, he's been here less than 2 months, barely 2 months. What, January, 3 months? And look at what he's been doing. You just feel so much more confident with Selvik in goal. And that's where I sit. I was disappointed, says Andy Goddard on Instagram, seeing Bond leave because of what it means for the future of Backman at the club. It's time for him to go, but I can't see us replacing 3 goalkeepers in one summer. Andy, I can see what you're saying, but with this club and this front office, don't bet against it. We've seen all kinds of things with this front office. The whole thing with Antonio Tivic, that was a whole mess. The whole thing with Ngakia proved to be a bit of a mess as well. Who knows what this front office will do? I mean, they'll go and replace we have to really stay on this situation in the summer about Tom Cleverley, because I'm very concerned about that. I really, really am. And listen, Andy, one thing they don't look now, Andy, but they'll get rid of Clevs and then they'll keep Backman here. That's what they'll do. That front office in the summer, while we're off on our summer holiday, we're doing our Cliff Richard, right? Pardon me. We're doing our Cliff Richard. We're all going on a summer holiday. And while we're doing that, he will go and get rid of Clevs first before he touches Backman. This is the thing I'm very concerned about. We have to keep the heat on, do it in a peaceful, responsible way. We need to let this owner know that hands off Clevs and back this man. We need to keep that going through the summer. I know it's been through the season. People have been talking that. But when that game ends on May 3rd or whenever that game ends, the last game, I think it's against Sheffield Wednesday, the last game of the season at the Vic, the last game of the season, period, full stop. We have to keep the pressure on this owner. I'm sorry, we cannot, because I'm telling you, we will switch off like the Watford defense did today in the summertime, and he'll go and replace Cleverley. I'm telling you right now, he will do it. If we don't stay on this, he will switch Cleverley out in the summertime with some other manager. You know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. So my thing is, we've got to stay on this. All of us, I don't care where we are in the world, we have to stay on this with Clevs because we've got to keep him here. The owner cannot get rid of him. I mean, the owner can do what the hell he wants, but we cannot allow that to happen without putting up a vocal resistance to it. That's the way I feel about this, and I'm sure I'm not alone there. Let me read out your YouTube comments. And this is Matt. Thank you, Matt. Looking at both Backman's and Selvik's stats, Backman has played 22 games, conceded 28, and has 5 clean sheets. Selvik has played 12 games, conceded 13, and got 6 clean sheets. Backman should go. Matt, thank you for that comment. Thank you for digging up them stats. I know it's not the same sample size, but the ratio is much better for Selvik. If you look at it, that's a good quality. He's played 10 fewer games than Backman, and he's conceded 15 fewer goals. That's really good. 6 clean sheets in 12 contests. Oh my God, it's case closed. How is Selvig not the number one for next season? Thank you, Matt, for your stats, for digging that up. Really appreciate it. Matt's really good with that on YouTube. He does dig up the stats. A lot of times, I'm not looking at them, have not prepared, to be fair, because sometimes I should, listen, I really should be prepared and telling you all of this. But Matt has been the person who's been very good at that. Thank you, Matt, for being kind and digging up them stats, because those are very important ones. That really should settle the argument. In fact, there really isn't an argument, is there? He's got to go. Backman, look, it was very unfortunate he got the injury, and I'm glad that he's back safe and he's recovered and he's healthy again. But I really think now he needs to move on. I really think that. As not being malicious toward him. I thank him for the time here. I wish he could have been better for us. He has been great for us in some big, big spots. I can't deny that. He's been an excellent shot stopper a lot of the times. But I think that if you want the total package as a goalkeeper, Agil Selvig gives you that. He is really good situationally. He made a save today. That ball was going straight in. I don't know if you remember that save. He sprawled out. The ball was literally going in, and he tipped the ball out and around the post. That ball was going, I don't know if you remember it. He made a load of saves. There was one that was going straight in, and he stretched out full stretch and palmed it away and around the post. That's an excellent save. Dang, Batman ain't doing that. He ain't doing that. I'm sorry. I know someone will go back and watch this and say, oh, you're being negative. It's not a matter of negativity. It's reality. It's not negative. I think some of us in our fan base, we confused reality with negativity and negativity with reality. The reality is that Daniel Batman, and Matt has put the stats out there, is not as good a goalkeeper as Agil Selvig. That's the reality. That's not hating on Backman. That's not being a hater. That's just calling it what the evidence is, what the evidence shows us. Backman's played 22 games, according to the stats that Matt dug up. Conceded 28 goals, and he has 5 clean sheets in them 22 games. Selvig's played 10 fewer games. Conceded 13 goals. That's about 1 point whatever per game. And 6 clean sheets. He's got more clean sheets in 12 games, in half the games. And Batman's have 22 games, 5 clean sheets. That's not even a contest. So for me, that's easy. Richard Lee says, I think it depends if we lose the remaining games. You don't know with the Pozzos if they'll pull the trigger. No, you don't. That's what I was saying. Thank you, Richard, for that on YouTube. That's what I was saying, Richard, to Andy on Instagram, where he said, well, I doubt that they'll get rid of 3 goalkeepers in this season. Oh, I think they're well capable of that. Andy, they've sacked 3 managers in this season. You don't think they've sacked 3 goalkeepers this season? Come on, Andy. Yeah, I mean, I respect you, mate. But this, and as Richard points out, this ownership is unpredictable. They're predictable and they're unpredictable. They're predictably unpredictable. And this owner, he will absolutely look at you and he will cut you off. Yeah, this owner, I do not trust. I do not trust. I do not trust. Not this owner. You cannot trust this owner with your pocketbook. You can't trust him with his own pocketbook. Look what he's done with the finances here. You can't trust him with anything. Come on. You know, it's like one of my friends said once, I don't even, a famous quote, and he said to me, I don't even trust myself. It's like, you cannot trust this owner. You cannot trust this owner to be honest enough to give you a fair accounting of what's going on at our football club. You cannot trust him. Andy, he will totally get rid of he will get rid of the manager. If we don't keep the heat on him, he will totally get rid of Clay. In fact, if it wasn't for the Watford fan base and those groups who are the pots are out groups and all the rest of them, who were on the managers, the owners' back in January and February this year, Klebs would have gone during the season. He would have gone in January. So Richard on YouTube, I 100% agree with you. This owner, you cannot predict him. You cannot read him. Listen, a fortune teller couldn't read this owner. You can't read him at all what he's going to do. But you know that he's likely to do something that is not good for this club and not good for the fan base and not good for the stability of the team, the first team. This men's first team needs an owner that respects it and respects what the development is, because there's good people in this club. There are good people who care about this club, and the owner, who used to care about the club, seems to have drifted off to Udinese land and has given all his attention there. I'm not saying he shouldn't give attention to Udinese. I'm saying keep your eye on the ball at Watford, mate, because there's a club here with people here and fans here who love this club, who have a stake in this club, who care about this thing. And as I said last week, you're just a steward at the club there, Gino. This club's going to survive you. It's going to survive all of us. But Gino, you're in charge at the moment. You are but a steward, mate. I'm not offending stewards. I'm talking about you are in the stewardship of this club. You have an obligation to the fan base. You have well, maybe you don't have an obligation to the fan base. Some people would agree that you don't. But you have an obligation to the club. And I get it. The bottom line is business. But you have to make wise, judicious decisions. We talked about this last week, the Man United fan base, who staged a quiet sit-in at Old Trafford last week to protest. After the game was over between Man United and Man City, what happened? You had about 20,000 fans, or whatever it was, 10,000 fans, sit behind in a 70,000-seat stadium and sit there for a good, half hour as a silent protest against the owner for the decisions the owner was making of late. They've been on the owners back there for 20 years. Now, if we at Watford could do that, if we could sit in a stadium at the Vic, maybe 10,000 of us, 5,000 of us, 2,000 of us, as a silent sit down, peaceful. I mean, why not? Peacefully. Why not silently sit there and say, we've had enough of this? I know not enough of us are going to do that. I know that, because we've got very different views, a lot of us, on whether the owner should be here or not. A lot of us in this room want him out. But if you're talking about off social media or, some other parts of social media, they want Gino to stay, which I just flatly disagree with. The man has to go now. He's had 12 years here, whatever the heck it is now. I've lost count the years he's had here. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. It's like, I don't want to go into politics here, but when you make a decision to get rid of a lot who've been there for a long time, this is the same kind of thing. Can we get him out too? I mean, in the UK, they made a decision last summer to get rid of who was in there for 15, 14 blooming years. Can we get this guy out now, out of our club? Been whatever, 10 years, 12, 14. Can we get him out the club? Question is, who's coming in? If Pozzo go, see, this is the part of the equation that never gets answered, right? But I put this out there because I want him gone as well, like all of you do, like many of you watching do. The question is, if he's gone, who's coming in as the owner? That's the question. Let me read the rest of your comments out. Lots to read out here. I've been going on and on, I know. Exercised at this club in terms of the owner and the front office, who've absolutely done a really shambolic job the last few years. The only thing I agree with, ironically, the only thing I agree with Pozzo on is raising the prices, because I think that's fair from a business standpoint. I know, easy for me to say, because I'm not at Watford paying the season ticket money. But to be fair, 5 years without a season ticket rise is very good. That's very rare, even with COVID, very rare to do. And you know the owner's going to do that. I don't fault him for that. I know some people can disagree with me, but I don't. That's the only thing I agree with him on, is actually raising the ticket prices, because I don't blame him for that. I really don't. That's the only thing I agree. Everything else with Pozzo is absolutely pear-shaped. Let me read out the rest of your comments. Thank you for sticking me here on the You ORNS post-match on both Instagram and on YouTube. Great to have you aboard here. I'll read out all your comments. We'll go for about 5 or 10 more minutes because there's lots to read out here. This is what I want to read out from Richard again. Good luck to Jonathan Bond, who's moved on, done a good job. Yes, Richard, he certainly has. I was singing his praises earlier. I think you heard and watched that. Johnny Bond was good for us. I really wish he had been given more playing time by the manager. I think the manager senses, since he did play, I think he might have played with Jonathan Bond as well briefly. Maybe not. No, I think he certainly played with Backman. I think he he owes fealty, if you will, to Daniel Backman, which is why I think, quite frankly, on a cynical wavelength, Richard, that he's playing Daniel Backman ahead of Jonathan Bond. I think that's the reason why. You put Jonathan Bond in goal, and instantly there's more stature and more credibility. I think Egil Selvik has more credibility in goal than Daniel Backman does. And look, we're all saying it. I think pretty much the whole Watford fan base that I engage with here online and beyond, they love Egil Selvik. Selvik has been terrific here. That's not overplaying my hand or exaggerating this. Egil Selvik is the real deal at Watford. I think he's a good goalkeeper, and he inspires a lot more confidence and leadership. I want him to communicate more with the defense. I think he could do that a bit better, and they need to get that tightened up a bit because we've seen that. But the bottom line is that he's a better goalkeeper than Daniel Backman, case closed. With his eyes closed, he's a better goalkeeper. A total package. Great shot stopper, great distributor, very good defensively with his feet, ball to feet, very good with the ball in close quarters. He's cool and calm. When you see Daniel Backman doing that stuff that you see Selvik doing with his feet, you think that Backman's going to lose the ball. You think Danny's going to lose the ball. But Egil Selvik has been very comfortable. He's a comfortable watch. I could watch him for hours and not be worried about him losing the ball in his own half, losing the ball in his own 6-yard box. I could never be. Selvik he's got, you know what it is with Selvik too, as well as the credibility, he's got sound fundamentals. Daniel Backman does not. Cool, calm, clinical, relaxed, focused. That's Selvik. He don't give you any worry. You don't look at him and go, "Ooh, my gosh, he looks nervous." He inspires confidence, and I think the defense reads off of that too, even though the defense did not read off of that, of course, in the game today, but those 2 poorly conceded goals. But that's not Selvik's fault, though. That is the defensive back line that needs to be stronger in them moments. But the bottom line is, I think the defensive line has been better lately. I like that back four. Wiley has been good. Larousse is going to be out probably for the rest of the season now with this groin injury, which is a shame because I think Larousse was doing well for us. I know some people don't think that Larousse is much of anything, but I'm high on Larousse. I think Larousse has been good. It's too bad he's probably not going to play any more football for Watford. He'll probably be offloaded at the season's end. That's the bottom line. But let me read the rest of your comments out. Matt said, I hear that Watford are in talks to try and extend Caleb Wiley's loan contract. Well, Matt, if that is the case, I totally agree with you. They should do that. Yeah, again, I'm not one for rumors. I have to actually see this myself with actual evidence from I call a quote-unquote credible news source. But look, the bottom line is that if, let's just say this, rumor or no rumor, to Matt and everyone else watching, if Caleb Wiley, if they're in talks of getting Caleb Wiley on here, they should bring him on. Give him a 3-year deal. He's 22 years old or whatever he is. He's a U.S. international, so he's played for the U.S. national team. He's from the United States, so he's a lad from out here. Bring him in. He's been very good, Wiley. He's one of the few players we brought in here this season, apart from a Banquet, maybe one other player as well, but a Banquet as well. And also, by the way, Doumbia has been very good, and Doumbia is going to be around next season. But Wiley definitely should be locked down, I should say, locked in for another 2 or 3 years here. I would love to see that. Brown Electron says, I missed Doucouré and Capoue. Rolls-Royce midfield. That was Brown Electrons on YouTube. I agree. We're not going to get any of the likes of that again. That's a good duo in it. Capoue was just terrific. He was a vacuum cleaner in midfield. Doucouré roamed box to box. Man, we don't have that anymore. Rolls-Royce is right. Brown says, all our recent problems stem from not signing defenders when we were in the Premier League. Signing Sarr instead when our defensive was woeful. Yeah, I can say that. And look where Sarr is now, back in the Premier League with Crystal Palace, who got absolutely shelled today by Manchester City at the Etihad 5-2. Maybe Sarr scored in one of them 2 goals. I don't know. I have to check that out. But yeah, I know. And look at the money we spent on Sarr. Saar did get us up to the Premier League, though, didn't he? There, Brown, with that penalty kick 4 years ago today. Actually, I think it is, or maybe 4 years ago in 2 weeks from now. Remember that when Watford got promoted against the Millwall? It was against Millwall, by the way, at the Vic. It was a sunny April day at the Vic. It was during COVID. It was in 2021. No one in the building because of COVID. And everybody celebrated on the field. It was April 24th, I think it was, or so. Or April 24th or 25th, whatever it was, 23rd, 24th, 25th of 2021. That was our last promotion. And it was Saar who scored the only goal of the game from the penalty spot. It was a 1-0 win. But yeah, Saar, I mean, he didn't stay around there long enough. He scored some great goals for us. He scored those 2 memorable goals against Liverpool the year before in 2020, right? Was it? Yes. Was that right? Yes, 2020. Is that right? Yeah, trying to remember. It was 2020, February the 29th. It was a leap year. I remember that game. Watford had played a Liverpool side that hadn't lost yet in the season. I think they hadn't lost yet at all, and Watford were the team to put the first defeat on them in the season. Liverpool have only lost twice this season in the Premier League as well. By the way, losing, of course, just last week to, who was it? Fulham, 3-2. But anyway, let me read the rest of your comments. Brown, I agree with you on what you said here. Matt says last game of the season is May 3rd, Saturday, Watford against Sheffield. I knew it was. Thank you, Matt. I was a 95% sure, Matt, on YouTube that it was Sheffield Wednesday, May the 3rd, Saturday, May the 3rd. Thank you for that. On to YouTube. Jonathan Bond did the right thing for himself. Can't fault him except for choosing Texas. Andy Goddard on Instagram. Ben Foster tanked at the end of his career, no doubt, and did himself no favors with Watford fans over his GoPro, his attitudes, performances, and his mate Paddy. And I love this is all Andy Goddard on Instagram. And I love Selvic's start here, and he deserves to be our number 1 if he wants it. I just feel we shouldn't jump to thinking Selvic's the best thing since Gomez, but time will tell. No, I agree. He's not the best thing. I mean, obviously, he's probably is the best thing since Gomez, but the sample size is small. I do get your point there, Andy. The sample size is very small, but it's very encouraging, as Matt on YouTube said. Those stats are very, very good. I'm sorry, 6 clean sheets in 12 games. You can't argue with that. It's a small sample size, but it's a good sample. It's a good small sample size. Yeah, Ben Foster, to your point there, Andy. Ben Foster brought a lot of baggage. That's what he brought. He brought a lot of baggage in the end. Then he went to Wrexham. Remember that? He went to Wrexham, and I think he's been let go from there. I mean, I met Ben Foster a few years ago. He's a really lovely chap, really nice guy, really nice man. I think what a lot of Watford fans, and I think you alluded to this, Andy, what a lot of Watford fans were put off by was all the extracurricular stuff. Like you said, the GoPro, all the other stuff, the extracurriculars and all the, the shows he was doing. And that was in the day, and that was in the day where I guess less of the footballing community was doing these shows and appearances and things. And I think it just wore thin. It wore very thin on the Watford fan base, a number of Watford fans. It grated a lot of us, actually, that he was doing all that stuff. And it got in the way of the football. That's what a lot of us thought at the time. It got in the way of the football, which I think it actually did. And it became a distraction. And it contributed to those last years that were not great years. Yeah, what's Chamberlain up to these days? Says Andy on Instagram. Isn't he managing somewhere? Wasn't he at one point the goalkeeper coach at Watford? I think he was, maybe a year or two ago. I don't know if he still has a place at Watford as an ambassador, or if he has gone on to actually manage or coach somewhere else, coaching locally somewhere, maybe in St. Albans or Bushy or Northwood or something. I don't know where he is at the minute. I have to go look that up. I know that someone named Matt perhaps might look that up on YouTube, but I'm not sure, Andy. I know it's a joke that you said, what's he up to, but we'll see. Yeah, Holly does not like Daniel Bachman. Let's just put it that way. Like I said earlier, and Holly knows this, Daniel Batman could give Holly on Instagram £1 million and she'll take the money, but she will still despise Daniel Batman. You think I'm exaggerating? Holly knows that that's why I said it, because Holly knows that I'm telling the truth. She'll take the £1 million and she would tell Daniel Batman to bugger off. She really would, after she's taken the money. You think I'm joking, and Holly knows I'm telling the truth. Holly knows it. Give me the £1 million now, she said. See, she knows. She actually totally knows. See, give me the £1 million now. Told you. She's not joking. I'm not kidding you. I've never met Holly before in real life, but I've spoken to her enough on Instagram when we do these post-match shows to know. And I've read her comments. I know she can't stand them. She will. I mean, I'm not encouraging this, but maybe I shouldn't go there. I'm not going to go there. I'm keeping this. I'm not going to go there. I'll just leave it at that. All right. So anyway, haha, your worries, says Andy Goddard. You won't know. I won't know Pat Jennings yet. You bring up Cliff Richard. Yeah, Cliff. I know. I know. But I'm not even talking about Cliff Richard from the 1970s. I'm talking about Cliff Richard from the 60s and the 50s when he was with the Shadows. Right? That song came out in the again. I don't want to go too far off the field here, but for those who are of a certain age, that song Apache was either 59 or 60, and he was with the Shadows when he did that song, and then he broke off from the Shadows, and then he did his own career, and then he did We're All Going on the Summer Holidays, which I think was late 60s, early 70s. But yeah, I'm not talking about Cliff Richard from the 1980s, the Wired for Sound Cliff Richard, who was good then. He was good, and Cliff's still with us, thank goodness. Good to see that he's doing all right. Cliff, I know he's had a lot of ups and downs with things off of his career that really weren't his doing. But Cliff Richard, I'm talking about the Cliff Richard from back in the day, like the 60s and 70s Cliff Richard and the late 50s Cliff Richard. But no, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Andy, on Instagram. Thank you very much for that. Pat Jennings has been around for a long time, hasn't he? Wow, what a goalkeeper he was in his day. Really, really good, Pat Jennings. England's #1 at one point as well. Oh, brilliant goalkeeper. Gordon Banks before him. Gordon Banks, terrific for England. Oh, dear. One of the great goalkeepers, Gordon Banks, doesn't get the kind of recognition that he should. You should go look him up if you don't know who Gordon Banks is or was, because I think he passed away within the last year or two. Tremendous goalkeeper for England. Brilliant goalkeeper. Was in the goal for them in the World Cup in 1966. The only one that we won, the only one that the England team has won, the England men's team, I should say, has won so far. Let me read out some more of your comments on YouTube. Float. This is Brown Electrons on YouTube. Float like a butterfly, sack like a pozzo. I love it. That is going to be the You ORNS Watford FC fan comment of the day in this post-match. Brown Electrons, I think it's the second week in a row where he's won this. Float like a butterfly, sack like a pozzo. That is the You ORNS Watford FC post-match fan comment of the day. Thank you for that, Brown. Really appreciate it. You are absolutely spot on with that comment that you have made. Philip Crouch says, nobody is going to buy the club at their asking price of about £150 million, says Philip on YouTube. Pozzo is still owed about £50 million to add into the equation. Now, if that is correct about him still being, I know he's owed some money, but if it is about £50 million, yeah, it's going to be, I see how that would be very, very difficult to see. And then the question is, if you're buying this club, let's say this club is a going concern as a valuation. Let's say the valuation is £150 million, right? If that's what they're really asking for, this is not just to Philip, but to anyone watching and listening. If the going valuation is £150 million, presumably they're buying the debt as well. If that is just the asking price, that doesn't include the debt. right? I don't think it. Maybe it does. I don't know. And if Pozzo's owed £50 million, yeah, I agree with you, Philip. I don't see who the takers are. Remember, there was supposed to be this investment thing that happened. They were trying to raise capital from. Remember that, and that got absolutely squashed. Remember that just a few weeks ago, the Watford press release. Oh, no further comment. We'll return your money. You'll get your refund if you put into this investment for shareholders. We're going to return your money to you. And that's before the madness that we've seen in the stock markets across the world. Before all of that, I do not want to go there, but you know what I'm talking about. So maybe canceling that was smart, given what we're seeing in the global markets now and the chaos that one individual is causing. Now, we're not going to go there. This is not that kind of show. But the bottom line is, no, I agree. At £150 million, nobody is going to go for that with the debt. If it is true that he's owed £50 million, and if it is true, because I haven't seen this myself, and I don't want to present this as fact because I've not seen it yet, and it might well be true. It might well be the fact what it is that Philip's saying. But if it is £150 million and there's £50 million on top of that that's still to be owed, he's going to put that in the asking price, and that may not even include any debt that the club is sustaining anyway. And I know that there were books put out. Our man Andrew French put out a story way back a few months ago talking about that the debt is almost gone, and that there was just a small amount of debt that needed to be closed on. That whole thing, it's going to be very interesting. And when you have the investment scheme cut now, and the money being refunded to shareholders, to Watford fans who participated in that, I don't know. They've been trying to get partners they're trying to get venture capitalists and people to come in and put money in and do deals and be part owners or part equity stakeholders. That's not worked. They've had a couple of American companies try to come in and be part stakeholders. That's not worked. They've run away from the table. Nobody's committed. So nobody wants to get near this club now. And that's the concern. Again, who's coming in if Pozzo goes? Thank you for that. It's a good point there that you made, Philip. Because even facts or not, the whole idea, let's say at the club, the going concern, the valuation was £200 million. I don't know that they're going to do that. It's very unstable in terms of what the foundations are, in terms of what you're building from the player standpoint. Now, it's pretty damn sound everywhere else, with helping people who have disabilities, with helping senior citizens, with doing great work in the community at large, with bringing in the youth. But the unstable part is the actual player ownership, that whole player dynamic, and what you're doing with salaries and that kind of thing is very, very tricky. Very tricky situation. Very tricky. And you notice now the merchandise at the club, they've downgraded it now. And they do this at the end of every season. Every club does this. But they're really downgrading. And there's a lot of stock left that they're trying to get rid of. They're going to take a hit on that too, the merch. They're going to take a hit on that, there's a lot of kits that aren't selling the way they should be. And that's why they're trimming. And they do this again at the end of every season to get rid of the old stock. Because again, by the time you get to June and July, late June is going to be what? The release of the first kit for the next season, the home kit. I think it's late June or early July, something like that. They're trying to get the stock out the warehouse. So look, all these things are factors. Here we go. I want to read the rest of your comments out on Instagram. I'll go back to YouTube in a moment. Hello there, Tracy. Nice to have you here, and thank you for joining. Holly says, do you know what put me up front? Yeah. I mean, Holly, it would be, listen, the bottom line is there's a lot that needs to be done at this club. A lot needs to be done. And one thing we cannot afford is to have this owner fracture things with annexing Tom Cleverley out of here. It'd be one thing if Tom Cleverley started the first 15 games of next season and lost every one of them. right? Then we could justify him being gone then. And even some fans would be saying, no, keep him. But if he lost the next 15 games, the first 15 games next season, provided he's even here to lose them, that would be understandable that you sack him. But for Watford to finish mid-table like they're going to do, I predicted 8th before the season. I love to keep repeating that. For them to finish anywhere between 8th and 12th, and I think they're going to, I'm still going for 8th. I said that, but, you know, it's going to be right around there. They're currently in 11th. And for them and for this manager to turn around and sack him after all the times he's sacked managers where Watford have been in places higher than 11th. He sacked Ivic. Now, Ivic was not my cup of tea. He was like watching paint dry. Watford was 6th when they sacked Ivic. This owner has sacked, you know who, Mr. Edwards, no longer of that lot up the road, by the way. He is gone from there. He sacked Edwards 11 games in the season. Watford were 9th or 10th. You can't sack Tom Cleverley in this club finishing 10th or 11th or 8th or 9th. You can't. I mean, you can do anything, right? You can do anything. But you can't sack Tom Cleverley when this team's finishing 10th and 11th. I'm sorry. You can't do that. You can't do that. 17 games unbeaten. I know at the Vic. It seems like forever ago. But you can't sack him off the back of that either. Can you? I mean, this owner, like I said, he sacked 3 managers in the season. Remember, he sacked 3 men. I want you to guess what year that was where he sacked 3 managers in the season. Sacked 3. Not hired 3, sacked 3. You never guess what year it was. I can tell you what year it was or what. I don't want to give away. If I say that, I'll give it away. There was a year or a season where the man, don't look it up if you can avoid it, where this owner sacked 3 managers in one season. Sacked 3, not put 3 out there. Sacked 3. Can you guess what year that was? I can tell you. I'll give you a couple minutes. I know some of you are going to look it up. I'm not looking this up because I know exactly what year it was. I could even tell you the 3 managers that were sacked. So I want you to tell me what year, what season did this owner sack 3 managers, 3 sackings? I'll tell you the answer after I read these comments out. Brown Electron says, bring Super Ben Hamer back. Yeah, Ben Hamer was very good too. Yeah. I know they didn't bring him back, did they? At the beginning of the season, they said adios to him. He had like a 9 out of 10 season, and then we get rid of him. I know, Brown. I couldn't agree more. It was stupid. What the owner did is silly, is absolutely stupid. Yeah, I don't understand it. There is no rhyme or reason for the owner of this club that we love, you and I, and all of us watching here, to get rid of a Ben Hamer. Ben Hamer was doing some excellent things in goal. Like Selvik, terrific goalkeeper. Earned his keep, was really good. And man, get rid of him. Very, very genius move. Anyway, I do want to thank you all for commenting. I know it's been quite a lengthy You ORNS Watford FC post-match. It's a terrific honor and pleasure to be interacting with fellow Watford supporters across the world. Really appreciate you all. Thank you very much for giving it a shout here. Oh, that's right. I didn't even give the answer. But you know why that answer is not correct? The sacking. Yes, Philip's correct. Philip is absolutely correct. And I'll tell you why, Andy, you're not quite correct here. Because they didn't sack Wilder in the season. After the season was over, Wilder departed. So your answer on Instagram of Edwards, Bilic, and Wilder is not correct. Philip is correct. He said it was in 2020, but he's functionally correct because it was the 2020 season, and he's got one correct here, but that was at the end of the season. This was before. See, the thing is, what the reason why Philip is correct, even though he hasn't given me all three of the managers, he's given me one of them on YouTube, which is Nigel Pearson. He's absolutely right. The question was which year. I said which year, and I said which, and then I said which season was it where Watford sacked three managers. Three managers they sacked in the season. Which season was it? Right? After the season was over, Andy, Wilder departed. He was not sacked during the season. When the season was over, he was gone. You might think I'm splitting hairs, but that's a big difference. Philip is correct. It was the 2019/2020 season. And here were the three managers. Yeah. Brown Electrons is close to the answer as well. But Philip, even though Philip didn't give me the three, I'll give you the three managers. But Philip's correct. It was Javi Gracia, Quique Sanchez Flores, and Nigel Pearson. That's the answer. That's the answer I wanted. But Philip is correct on YouTube. He's the closest to it, so I'll give it to him. Because he mentioned one of the managers, and the order was Javi Gracia. He went in September. Then it was Quique Sanchez Flores. He went in November or December of that year, 2019. And then it was Nigel Pearson. Nigel Pearson went with 2 games left or a game left in the season. And you know who they put in afterwards? And Matt's got the answer as well now. And I don't know if anybody looked it up. Any of you looked it up? But I don't think Philip looked it up because he only gave me the one manager. But Philip's correct because he got it right. I'll give him credit. Because Philip got Nigel Pearson. And Pearson was the third of the managers. Hornet Gary, hello to you on Instagram. Pleasure to see you. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. It's been a lengthy post-match. We've been talking about everything here, from Watford losing the game today to all manner of things. Daniel Bankman to Tom Cleverley to Gino Pozzo to the sackings. Because again, as Andy on Instagram said, we don't think, I'm not expecting us to get rid of 3 goalkeepers in the season. Well, we got rid of 3 managers this season, as I've reminded Andy time and time again here. And Tom Cleverley might be gone, Andy. Tom Cleverley might be gone. Might be gone. I sure hope this owner, if you turn your back, this owner will turn his back on you. And I'm telling you, we need to keep an eye on that. Did Hodgson also finish the season? Yes, he did. See, the thing is, the only year where Watford sacked 3 managers was 19-20, was that 19-20 season, when we ended up getting relegated. Hodgson did finish the season, Cisco did not. Ranieri did not. Hodgson did. Hodgson did finish the season. I remember, of all the people that finished the season at Watford, it was him. Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. I distinctly remember that he did finish the season with us. It's incredible, isn't it, that he finished the season, but Nigel Pearson didn't. Nigel Pearson was, well, here's the other thing I want to say. Plenty of 3 manager seasons, ha ha ha, says Andy, indeed, on Instagram. Here's something I want to get you to answer. Anybody who answered this one. This is not like the quiz I was doing months and months ago, but who was in charge when Watford beat Liverpool 3-0? Who was in charge of that game for us? This should be pretty easy. But Matt's correct. Matt is absolutely correct. But Philip Crouch got it first because he did say it was in 2020. Technically, the season was 19-20. 19-20. Yeah, Pearson shouldn't have allegedly left Messi. Yeah, there was a lot going on there, allegedly. Yeah, Andy got out on Instagram. There was a lot going on behind the scenes there. There was a lot going on with that. That season there with Pearson, and by the way, Pearson and the owner, and that whole thing with Messina and all this. There was a lot of stuff going on there late that didn't really get a lot of. I mean, it has probably got leaked out there a bit, but there was a lot going. Arguments with the owner, with Pearson and Pozzo, and that's a mess. And that's why when Watford played West Ham, Pearson wasn't there, or at least he wasn't there by the end of the game. Let's put it that way. And who did they bring in? I got two questions. Who did they bring in after they sacked Pearson? That should started for 10. And then the other question is, who was in charge of Watford when Watford beat Liverpool 3-0 in 2020? That's my question. Those are my two questions. But Philip is correct. Matt also was correct because he named the three managers. Well, that was after I named him, so he's correct. But that's because he probably looked that up to confirm what I said, which was, as I said, it was Javi Gracia first, Kike next, and then it was Pearson. And by the way, let me ask you this: another question on the fire for the next 5 minutes before we say goodbye. Ultimately, here, this is what I want you to answer as well. Which team did Watford play in Kike's second go-around, the first game of his second tour of duty at Watford? Which was the team? Who was the team that we played? I can answer that for you as well. Woi, says Brown Electrons. He's referring to Mr. Hodgson, or as some people would call him, a lot worse than Mr. Hodgson. I still remember Woi celebrating with Palace after they had beat us. Yeah, that is the enduring memory, isn't it, Brown? That's the enduring memory of Woi. Celebrating with the Palace, the team that we do not like very much, right? And also, the only other enduring memory there that I have of Woi, Brown Electrons, was when he took none other than Mr. Imran Loser off the pitch. And Imran Loser was the only one who was really having a go in the game against the opponent. And Roy Hodgson was going, oh, he's a favorite. And they were booing it because the Watford fan base, we booed him when he took off Loser. And in the post-match interview, you had Roy going, oh, well, he's one of their favorites. And I can understand that, but I've got to do what's best for the team. I'm like, screw you, mate. One of our favorites is not why we're booing. It's because it's a stupid move you made, Roy. Loser was given hammer and tongs. He's one of the best players on the team, given everything in that game, and you take him off like a stupid Momo. You take him off. And so that did not endear him either to the fan base. That was the first sign of trouble there when he said that post-match. And then the second sign of trouble, as you said, Brown Electrons, was when he was celebrating and high-fiving and shaking hands with Palace players. And I can understand that Palace, that they love him. He'd been there forever. And so the Palace fan base and the players were going up to him. But that is inexcusable to do that when we got relegated. We got relegated in that game and you did it. Sorry, that is no class. And the Watford fan base, I think, never liked Woi. Really bad appointment. I agree, Brown. Really bad. By the way, to answer the questions here, Philip Crouch has got it. He's Johnny on the spot today. Philip, good job from you. Nigel Pearson in the 3-0 win. Absolutely correct. Well done, Nigel. Pearson is the correct answer. I don't know if you looked it up. I don't think you did, Philip. I trust on the judgment there. I think Philip got it absolutely correct. Nigel Pearson was in charge when we beat Liverpool 3-0, and you're quite right, Philip. That was the same game that, see, people forget that, but Philip obviously did not. That was the same game where Gerard de la Fea got injured really badly. Really he played football after that, though, but he did not play another game for Watford ever. That was a horrible injury. And I remember they played it once on the TV and they did not play the replay again. That's how bad that injury was. It was a bad injury. Very bad. And Philip says he did not look it up. I trust you. I believe you, Philip. I believe you 100%. Based on the answer that you gave before as well, I definitely believe you, because you did say you think it started with Pearson, and you got Pearson correct. It just ended with Pearson. It started with Javi Gracia, who previously went through he was the last manager to go through a season without being sacked. Javi Gracia, pretty much it was him. I think it was. Or at least, put it this way, he made it through the end of a season without being sacked until the following season when he was sacked. In 2019, that 2018-19 season, he made it through that season without being sacked. So, bottom line is, the only manager other than Tom Cleverley who's going to make it through a lot, because in 2018-19, remember, people forget that in 2017-18 they got rid of I almost said Marco Rubio, and that's not the Marco that I should even be thinking about. But that's because there's all this other stuff going on in the world, and his name happened to pop up on the top of my head. I mean Marco Silva. They got rid of Silva, right, during that 2017-18 season, remember? Because he wanted to go to Everton so badly. They got rid of him. We were in a tailspin that 2017-18 season. He was let go in 18. Javi Gracia came in, and guess what? I'm not going to give you any more quiz questions, but he came in, played the first game he managed was Stoke. It was a 0-0. And then he got through that season and finished that season. Then he started this 2018-19 season and ended it with the FA Cup final defeat, and he did not get sacked. He went through a whole season, did Javi, and he didn't get sacked. He's the last manager that went an entire season and did not get sacked by us, and Cleverley's going to be the next manager to do that. Gino, if you've gone that long and you've not sacked Cleverley, you may as well keep him here, mate. You see what the players are doing. The players love him. I know the players have let him down, let us all down lately. But the bottom line is that they like Clebs, and they're going to absolutely put a shift for him. And if you've gone this long and you've not sacked him, don't you dare get rid of him during this off season. Don't do it. That's why we've got to keep the heat on this owner. We really do. We really do. By the way, let me go over to Instagram and read out your comments. Andy says, Mullins or Ivic, depending on your logic. Yeah. Well, the person that I'll answer the question here. The person, and Brown Electrons said Burnley. No, it was not Burnley. It was Liverpool. That was the manager that Pearson was in for the 3-0 win for. The first game. The Burnley game. You're asking about the game in which Pearson was. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. I asked a question about what was the first game in charge for. Did I ask it for Roy Hodgson? I'm now confused about what question I asked about. What was the first game in charge for? I think it was. Did I say Kike? Yeah, Kike. The question was, what was the game that Kike was the first game in Kike's second tour of duty, and it was not Burnley. I'll give you the answer to that one. It was Arsenal. And the reason and coincidentally, Roy took Imran Luzerov against Arsenal several seasons later when we ended up losing. But in that game, Imran Luzerov was putting in a great shift. Now, the game that Kike took his first game in charge in his second go-around was against Arsenal. It was at the Vic. Arsenal were up 2-0 in that game, and Watford scored twice. And guess who scored one of the goals? Don't look it up. I'm giving you all these quizzes here, late here. But guess who scored one of the goals in that 2-2 final score? Roy might have been our worst appointment, says Brown. Yeah, pretty close. Dave Bassett proved to be a terrible appointment as well, didn't he? Way back in the day, if you remember Dave Bassett, he was awful at Watford. Awful. But Roy Hodgson's right up there with him. I totally agree. A terrible, terrible appointment. That was a great win, that 3-0 win. Oh, my God. Terrific win against Liverpool. That was the highlight of our season. And we went down that same season, but during the COVID pandemic, I think that was the last game when there were Watford fans in the building. Because remember, there was a Watford crowd there for that game. That was on February the 29th of 2020. That's when the COVID, that's just when we here in the United States, we just started to get news of people dying from COVID. That's when it really began for the United States, and in the United Kingdom, I think it was around the same time or just after. But the bottom line is that yeah, that was the last game that Watford had a fan base in the stadium at the Vic. After that game, there was no more fans for the rest of the season during COVID. So it was great to see that the fan base actually got to see that win in person, despite the fact there was COVID flying around then, unbeknownst to many of us, or some of us didn't know that. We played some of our best football in the Premier League with Silva. Yeah, Brown, it's true. I think we did pretty well with Javi too, though. Remember when Javi was here, that 2018-19 season, remember we started unbeaten the first 4 games. We won our first 4 out of 4 in the Premier League. Now, I'm not going to ask you which 4 teams it was. I'm not going to do that to you. But if memory served me correctly, we won the first 4 games of our season. Boy, I'd really appreciate. I'd really give you a shout if you can remember the 4 teams. I'm not going to say in order. If you can remember the 4 teams, I will really, without looking it up, I would really, because I know the 4 teams. I just don't want to. I don't want to go down that road. But we did play some of our best football in the Prem with Silva. But I think we did so with Javi as well, especially them first 4 games. Look, I will say I'll actually go one further, Brown, and I'll say we played our best Premier League football with Javi, only because he got us to 11th place in the table. That's the only reason why I say that, because that is our highest finish in the Prem. And to be fair, Silva did not finish with us because, of course, he got sacked and he went off to Everton, didn't he? Yep, you're correct on that. Spurs is one of them. You're absolutely right, Brown. It's one of the 4 games. Without looking it up, that's a good job from you. I'm expecting Philip Crouch to come in here as well. Philip on YouTube as well to give us the answer as well. But Spurs is one of the 4 teams. That's absolutely correct. If you can name the rest of them, that'd be, without looking it up, that'd be great. And I remember the Cathcart winner, says Brown. Yes. Do you remember the other goal scorer in that game? I know the goal scorer. Do you remember who the other goal scorer was? And I've got some trivia for you as well. Here's the trivia. There were 2 people. I'll tell you the answer to the trivia. The trivia for that game, the Spurs game, Brown, and everyone else watching, yes, it was Dini. You're absolutely right, Brown. But the trivia part to that day, it was a sunny Sunday, wasn't it, at the Vic? But here's the trivia for you. In the director's box, 2 people were watching that. Well, there are many people in them, but 2 people I want to single out who were actually at that game. Sir Elton John, our beloved chairman emeritus, and Claudio Ranieri. Ranieri was at that game as well. And little did he know that he would become a future Watford manager for about 5 minutes. But he would. And you know that Gino and Ranieri have been friends for 35 years. They've known each other for a long time. There you go. Isn't that? It's amazing. It's amazing how things happen. It really is. By the way, let me read out some of what Andy had to say on Instagram. Van Dijk is the Premier League's baby. Couldn't possibly punish him. Awful, awful injury. Wow. So are you saying that Van Dijk had an injury today? Oh no, are you talking about Van Dijk and Delafeu from 2020? Andy, can you clarify that? Because I've not looked at anything on the wires, and I know Van Dijk played that game. Van Dijk is the Premier League's baby. Okay, couldn't possibly punish him. Awful. Yeah, I think you're talking about the Delafeu injury. Yeah, I remember that. And Delafeu did, yes. Van Dijk did have a part to play in that, didn't he? Yeah, that was an awful injury. Oh. And again, I remember this, Andy, when they played the replay out here in the States, they played it once and they did not play it again. That's when you know it's a terrible injury, because sometimes they play replays over and over and over again when there's some pretty bad ones. But that was a gruesome, gruesome injury. And they played it once and that was it. And that's what I like. Play it once, not again. When you see an injury of that magnitude, that serious, you only play it one time, mate. You do not play that over and over and over again. You don't do that. You don't do it. And so I thought that's where you were driving at. Thank you, Andy. And Andy also says Roy was a bad appointment, but Andy versus dentist away from home in 2011. That's a very verified worst appointment. Yep. And I think the dentist probably got the better of that one. It is fair to say. Dentist for owner of Andy's root canal or whatever it was. Good job there, Andy, with the humor as always, keeping things light. And yeah, and again, I know I don't really run a venture here, but there's a small matter in a couple of weeks' time of a little election there in the neighborhood to the north of us here in the United States. I don't even want to go into that election either. Anyway, that'll have to be a different type of YouTube channel, not this one. But yes, I'm keeping my eyes on that as well, Andy, as far as that goes. But yeah, Van Dijk does get treated with kid gloves. Let's be fair. Listen, he's an outstanding defender. He's probably the best defender in the world at the minute. Has been for a while. He had a down year, I think, the year before last, and maybe last year too. But he is the preeminent defender in football, and that's basically why he gets treated with kid gloves. He walks on water with Liverpool fans, and then the Premier League referees think the same way. I mean, they're acting as if he walks on water with them, and they treat him that way. And as a result, he didn't even get a booking, I don't think, in that game 5 years ago now. Can you believe it? It's been just a shade over 5 years ago. Can't believe it's been 5 years, that game. More than 5. It was March. It was February 29th. It was a leap year. That's more than 5 years ago. March 29th, 2020. Unbelievable. I remember going out here in San Francisco, going down to the grocery store, and the shelves are empty. Many of the shelves were, and that's when we know that COVID hit here. But anyway, I can give you the 4 teams, right? Because that would be important, right? To know, right? There were 4 teams that Watford beat. Actually, I've got 3 of them stuck in my head. I just had the 4th one just go out my head. Damn it. Put it this way. I'll give you 3 of the 4 because I had the 4th one and I'm trying to remember the name of it. But here, I'll give them to you in order. Brighton, Burnley, and then I think it was the 3rd one, and then it was Tottenham. Brighton, Burnley, and I think it was the 3rd team, and then it was Tottenham was the 4th. And the team we lost to after that, Man United. Jose Mourinho was I remember it's like it was yesterday. Jose Mourinho was the manager. Man United had those pale pink kits. Actually, I like those. Even though I'm not a Man United fan, I actually like that kit they were wearing that day. Romelu Lukaku scored the goal. We lost the game 2-1 at the Vic. That was the game, the first loss of the season. And also what happened in the first 4 games, there were 2 other teams that also had a 100% record for the first 4 games. Liverpool and Chelsea. We were the only teams, those 3 teams, us, Chelsea, and Liverpool, were the only 3 teams in the Premier League who'd won 4 out of 4, 100% record to start the season. And it's still killing me what that other team was. I think it might have been Crystal Palace. Might have been Crystal Palace. Not 100% sure. I should know this because 4 out of 4, I'm not looking it up. I'm going to be really stubborn and I'm not going to look it up until after this whole thing's over with. But it was Brighton. We played Brighton. We played Burnley. We won 3-1 at Burnley. We beat Brighton, I think 2-0 or 3-0. Roberto Pereira scored both the goals in the 2-0 or 3-0 win. I think it was 2-0. The game against Burnley, we won 3-1. Deeney scored. I think Will Hughes scored, and I forget who the other one was. And then we beat Tottenham, like Brown said, it was Cathcart and Deeney scored in the goals. The third game's just killing me who it was that we played. It might have been Palace. It might have been it wasn't Fulham. It wasn't another London club. It's just killing me who that was. Anyway, I'll look it up afterwards. Maybe I should look it up now. I'll look it up now. But it was 4 from 4. 4 from 4. I'll look it up now for the first time. I hate looking these things up. I like to do this off the top of my head. The 2018-2019 season. I'm going to look this up right now. They had won 4 consecutive games. And if you look at their season, this is just amazing they did this. And here's who it was, right? I'll show you, I'll tell you who it was now. Here are the results. It was Crystal Palace. I was correct. I was absolutely right. I got it absolutely spot on. I said Palace. Didn't I say that? Crystal Palace? I said it might have been Palace. And I was correct. Burnley, excuse me, and I said it in order. Brighton, Burnley, the third team, and then Tottenham. And I did say Palace, right? So it was Brighton, Burnley, Palace, and Tottenham. And we won. And those 3 games, 3 of them 4 were at home. And I was correct about Man United. We lost 2-1 at home to United. So there you go, off the top of my head, as confirmed by the internets. And look, that was the ball game. And so there you go. By the way, let me read out the table because, I mean, you probably know the table by now. Is at the top, it's Leeds United on 88, Burnley on 88, goal difference notwithstanding. Leeds look like they've rescued themselves from the jaws of trouble. They've won their last 2. Burnley won today. Sheffield United are in free fall. Sheffield United in third on their, listen, they've lost 3 in a row. They are absolutely free falling it now. They're on 83, Sunderland on 76, Bristol City are way up there now, 64. They look like they're in good shape, Bristol City. And Coventry on 62. That's the playoffs. They won today after losing their last 2 games. Watford in 11th on 56 points, 6 points off with 4 games to play. 16 wins for us, 18 defeats, -5 on the goal difference. You can kiss your playoffs goodbye. 8 draws. That is your Watford. And at the bottom, that scum up the road on 40. They're second from bottom. They are in trouble. They're going down. Derby drew today. They were leading their game, but they got the draw. That's a big let-off for that scumbag up the road. And then Cardiff City on 42 points. At rock bottom, Plymouth Argyle, who won today. They helped themselves. But Plymouth are in a lot of trouble. All 3 of them teams. I think Cardiff have a chance. They have a chance, but Cardiff and Luton both lost today. So they don't help themselves. But Cardiff at least have 42 points. But their goal difference is really prohibitive. Anyway, that's that. That is all for this edition of You ORNS post-match. I want to thank you so very much. What a long one that was today on Instagram and on YouTube. Andy and everyone else. Hannah. It's called Holly. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Tracy and Andy and all the folks there on Instagram. Thank you so very much indeed. Those of you on YouTube, thank you so much. Matt and Brown, Electrons and Philip Crouch and Richard Lees and all the others who have contributed or watch later on. I thank you all for watching and listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the You ORNS WFC YouTube channel at You ORNS WFC and on Instagram at You ORNS WFC and on X at You ORNS WFC as well. Stick with the podcast. I know we haven't done episodes in a while, but the podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, You ORNS on Instagram, You ORNS on X, You ORNS on YouTube, and of course, You ORNS on the podcast, on Apple Podcast and Spotify as well. Who knows? You might see a new episode soon. We'll talk about the Watford women as well on the podcast as well, because they've been doing pretty darn well. And the Watford youth team that lost to Manchester City a couple of days ago, talking about Jonathan Bond. I'll go over some of the stuff here as far as we are concerned. And there is it. And Mark Carney, indeed, I know Mark Carney mentioned there. And I do think, again, I don't really want to talk politics here. But I think that's who's going to end up winning in Canada. I think it's for lots of reasons that I would get into in another forum. I think he's a smarter choice than anybody else. And I believe me, Andy, I follow what's going on up there in Canada very closely. And there is no chance that Canada will do anything with anyone else there. Certainly not that crackpot with the initials PP. And we all know who, you and I know who we're talking about here. I don't mean to get inside baseball here because I don't want to really talk about politics. But yes, I agree with your sentiments on who should be he is the current prime minister, and I think that he should be the prime minister after April the 28th, put it that way. And I think he will be. Despite what some of the news broadcasts say, and despite what the polls sometimes say out there in Canada, there's a lot of elections going on across the world around that time of year, April and into May. In the UK, there's a number of elections going on with the council elections and all the rest of it. But anyway, this is not the forum for that. This is the Watford forum. But thank you, Mark. Thank you. I said thank you, Mark. Thank you, Andy. Oh, God, Marco Rubio. I tell you, it shows you what I'm thinking about, right? If I've got Marco Rubio instead of Marco Silva, and if I'm talking about Mark, thinking about Mark Carney, when I should be saying, Andy, cheers to you and thank you, then that shows you where my headspace is. But look, the bottom line today is the final score from the Hawthorns was West Bromwich Albion 2, Watford 1. That was your final. Watford played well in this game, especially the first half. Just could not get that goal to back up what Musa Sissoko did. Sissoko was very good today. That's what you take away from this. Abankwah, I thought, was solid. I thought Kayembe was solid. Some people disagree with that. And I thought that that Caleb Wiley was terrific again today. And I also think that the likes of the goalkeeper, Selvik, oh boy, he has just been absolutely wonderful. And Imran Louza has done a good job as well today. But unfortunately, all of it was in defeat. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening and for watching. Thank you, Matt. He says, thank you, Omar, for another great chat about the club we love. Even with 0 points added today. That's right. As they would say with the European song contest, nil point, right? That's not what they say. Then they still say that in the Eurovision Song Contest. I remember when they used to say that many decades ago. Un point, 1 point, or nil point, no points. Well, nil point today for us, but still lots of laughs and a lot of conversation in the process. We had a lot of fun today here. Thank you very much. I had a lot of fun. I'm sure you did as well. If you want to watch this back, if you really do want to subject yourself to such torture, be my guest, whether you're on YouTube or on Instagram. And thank you very much indeed, Philip. Thank you for those kind words. Great chat and take care as well, Philip. Thank you for your comments and your thoughts today. As always, as ever, we'll be back again next week. It will be Good Friday. Next Friday, it will be Watford at home against Burnley. Ooh, woo. Can we show up in that game? I think we will turn up in that game. The question is, will we get 3 points? Or will we get nil point? Or will we get un point? Well, we'll see. My Eurovision Song Contest skills, not nearly good enough. But take care, everybody. It's a pleasure to have you aboard. We'll see you again next time around. And until then, Omar here in San Francisco, California, saying, you orns. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you next week. Be good. Take care now. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.